welcome to the December 18th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening and welcome to those that have joined us. Any announcements from the board tonight? I think we're all set there. We do have an appointment, and at this time introduce Carrie DeAngelis, who is the president of the Waterboro Association of Businesses. Step right up to the podium.
Hi, we're here to do two things. One, we want to announce the winner of our annual holiday Deck the Lights Holiday Lights contest, and that goes to the Riddle family, which is 186 Old Alfred Road, the house with all the blow-ups and the music. So we have this trophy to give you.
How many blow-ups?
Yeah.
Good question. I would say about 12 right this year.
You must need a storage shed to keep everything
Well, the
in.
garage is full. We enjoy doing it. My kids seem to like it.
Good. Well, you get to keep this for a whole year, and then next year, when we announce the next winner, we'll pass it on, and your name will be engraved on it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Good, thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
The next is our donation to the local fuel assistance program we've been doing for 7 years. This year we raised $2,000 as an organization, and that brings us up to about $22,000 since 2006, so about 7 years we've been doing it. Mostly donations from local businesses and a couple of small fundraisers that we've done throughout the year.
Yeah, it's still ongoing though.
It is ongoing.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to donate obviously can donate to the town, or they can do it through WAB. Nancy Johnson, will you accept our donation?
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, basically with this, at this point, it puts me about 2,700 in oil. So we've
Yeah.
gone through a good 7,000 already in donations this year.
Okay.
Oil. So
At three-
definitely need more.
We're at $350 for 100 gallons right now, so as we can see, 2,000 is only going to go so far, and we're only in December. So if anybody out there wants to contribute, come see Nancy, see myself, see Carrie. We'd be glad to take your money and make sure it gets to the right place.
Well, certainly, it's, from the town's perspective, we certainly appreciate all that WAB has done over that's a pretty sizable amount of money since, we said 2007, so a lot of folks have stayed warm because of that, so again, thank you and all of your members for everything that they do and the community that donates to the program. So, anything else, folks? Any other comments? No? Thanks for coming in, and see you next year at the same time, same place. Right? Hopefully, right? Okay. Hearing a delegation. Moving on to correspondence. Treasury weekly financial reports. We've got assessor agents 2003 work schedule, info on the York County Community Actions free flu and pertussis vaccine clinic. Season's greeting from the town attorneys, tax collector's October-November report, and the Saco River Quarter Commission meeting scheduled for April 2013. All of that information is in there. Reports from staff and initiatives. I think we had a motor vehicle report last week. Tax collector, there's a written report, it was in the packet. Town clerk's report is also available. We'll make sure that that's part of the minutes. General assistance, as you can see, Nancy was pretty involved tonight collecting a check for $2,000, so I think they're out taking pictures. Just saw Road Commissioner Foglio come in. Anything to report, Doug?
Well, the principal reason I came tonight was to request that we have an executive session with the road commissioner and the board of selectmen and administrator on discussing some confidential information.
Okay. We'll set something up
When,
later.
you know, when it's convenient for the board.
Is this time sensitive, like,
Not immediately time sensitive, eventually time sensitive.
So in the next few weeks, right after the first of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it right after the first of the year. The board will have to, I would say, make some decisions. Would you agree with that, Administrator? The
But
board is-
I haven't received all the information on it yet either.
No. I haven't discussed this individually with any of the board members. I wanted to present it to you all at the same time.
So why don't we just plug it in for the 8th?
Before?
I guess whatever time is convenient for you. You want to do a 5:30 meeting, or you want to do
No.
something later?
No, 5:30's
Okay.
good. We can, you know, I'll present it to you. Hopefully, we'll have it all in written form, and then you can just, you know, the board will have to mull on this after they get the information, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, as long as we get the information in time enough so that they can review it before you meet with them, that would be good.
Okay. Anything else?
Some years ago, we had some parking problems on what was Pine Drive. Now it's Ansel Way. The decision at the time was made that they would put a stripe down the middle of the road and the right-hand lane had to remain open. Well, we've had some minor issues, complaints from people, that residents have changed, and we now have a police force, if you will. So I took it upon myself to assume that was still the order of business. There's some private property on the left side. The property on the right is private also, but the owner of the property on the left is where the business is. So I put up no parking signs on the right-hand side. The police had said park on the right-hand side, but you gotta block the road off. You park on the right-hand side, there's no property. I didn't know if there was ever an ordinance passed to that, or that was just a agreement that was agreed upon, but if the board has no objections, I think we've come to a reasonable conclusion. And other than that, I think we're gonna have to have somebody go in there and survey. What basically happened is, Dennis probably knows, and I don't know about anybody else, Nancy does, and I know Dennis does. They approved a street with a 20-foot entrance going to a 50-foot wide right-of-way, which was not correct when they did it, but they did it. The people that ran the store owned about 6.5 feet of land, or 5.5 feet of land, so they took their fence down, put a door in for deliveries, and then it was a hullabaloo. So they came up with that resolution. So I put no parking signs up on the right-hand side to kind of go along with what was there. I haven't striped the road, but everybody's agreed to park on one side. If the board has no objections, you know, but I don't want somebody to come up and say, you know, what authority did you have to do that?
What you just said was everybody agreed to park on the right-hand side. I think what you meant was.
No, everybody agreed to park. Everybody has agreed now to park on the left-hand side. I have put no parking signs on the right-hand side, so that we will keep a 10-foot wide strip open down through there.
Yep.
That agreeable?
I don't see why not at this point, not any other, I mean, we'd have to go back, that's gotta be
I
20
looked in-
years ago.
90s,
Yeah, I looked in the
80s.
parking ordinance and it wasn't in,
Yeah.
wasn't in there, and I almost think it was done at town meeting. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
I mean, maybe 30 years ago. It's been a long time.
The folks that had, the property opposite the store
Yeah.
were really that was kind of the genesis of it, if I remember right? Because people would park. And then there was some concern with the people that live out on that road.
Well, there was concern because the people that lived out back said that the road was being blocked and they couldn't get in and out. So they decided to leave. The people that owned the house didn't have land enough to create a street. So they, instead of giving up more land, they took it to a town meeting and they voted to allow them to only use a 20-foot right-of-way, which is, you know, not right.
I can almost see the.
But anyway, you're right, Dennis, going in, I put no parking on the right-hand side. I've got a hold of the deputy, I explained the situation to him, I said there's private property on the left, that's where they ought to park, is on the left-hand side, and leave a 10-foot lane open down through there.
Okay.
Creates a problem no matter what you do, but you gotta do the best you can do.
How much traffic is there, Doug? How much use?
Well, there's 3 houses, excuse me, 4 houses, you know.
Not counting the one on the corner,
No.
right?
The one on, well, the business has a
Right.
parking lot out back,
Right.
but the house on the corner, the actual house on the corner of the two, has its own driveway off 202.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, we've already started having some complaints. Are we going to put the ad in the paper about mailboxes being in the private right, in the public right of way, not the responsibility of,
We can put that ad back in. The
And-
the winter parking ban, Christina, you know, the winter parking ban, that's what we'll have to put in.
and I'd like to ask that we set the phone system up again for people that run out of fuel, because from other things we have going on, I can tell you that there is, you know, the possibility of need, and there is some private money available for fuels, you know, if somebody runs out of oil. And we had that hotline set up. We only got 1 or 2 calls on it when it was set up 2 years ago. I don't know if we did it last year, but I was just thinking that, you know,
Just another extension, isn't it, that we can plug in?
I think it's got its own separate line, if I remember right.
I thought we used the line you had run in here that was a private line.
I don't remember. Do you know what that was, David? It was run into here and it was a fuel line for people who call in for fuel assistance.
Came into this one, didn't it?
Came into this one, then you directed it somewhere else from this phone.
No, we had a special phone set up, didn't we, for answering it?
Yeah, we did at one point.
Yeah,
We'll look into that one, see if we can find that number.
yeah, we had a separate phone for it.
There was you had a spare phone line or something in here, you did that. I just, you know,
Yeah, we better do it before Time Warner changes. Or will that still be,
We're gonna have the 3008 number that goes to the fax in there is gonna be still on OTT. So if you want, we could reroute.
okay.
I guess that's all I got. Anybody got any issues or complaints?
Deputy Salmon said he was waiting for some flag or something, and he couldn't do any speed control. Darren's raised you, what's he talking about there?
Nancy got some flags. And, you know, it was kind of comical because somehow the flags come to me, which they should have come to me, but Nancy had told me about the flags. we put up all the signs. My God, I gotta tell you something right now. You put up a speed limit sign, you put up another sign that says that it's a speed limit sign and it's speed checked by radar. And now we gotta put flags up, and the next thing we're gonna have to do is put up a flashing light that says, this is a speed trap.
That's what I've said right along, not sure.
You know, I don't understand the flag thing, but
I don't either, that's why I'm asking, what do they do?
they put these, they want these red flags hanging off all these signs so that you got flags blowing in the wind so everybody goes by, sees the flags. What we've got to do, my problem, is I have to give Nancy some information so she can buy some special hangers that goes on back of the post that we have, because I didn't tell her to do that, because you gotta have a special hanger for the rods to go in to hold the flags. Otherwise, there's no way to attach the flags to the poles.
Now, is this state statute or what?
I don't believe it's any kind of statue. I see it, it's a statue all right, but I don't think it's, you know, I just don't understand it. To be 100% truthful with you, I don't understand it. But it's all right, I don't have to understand it. I just don't understand
Well, I
it.
guess I'm wondering if the tail is wagging a dog here, or the dog is a tail, or what that's going on.
I see it in a lot of places where they have these flags, but
Usually it's men working or something, you know?
Yeah,
Well-
where they, you know, you see it on a turnpike when they drop down to 55 miles an hour, they'll have the 55 mile an hour thing, they've got a couple of orange flags hanging off it. The most noticeable if you travel Portland Way coming down coming this way from Torrey Hill, you know, they've got those blinking yellow lights to slow everybody down on Salmon Falls Bridge, and that's got, you know, 35-mile speed limit sign and flags on it to draw attention to the fact that it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, right? You know, that's, I think when Sean made the original request, he wanted, you know, speed enforced by radar signs and these orange flags to alert everybody that this was a 35-mile-an-hour zone. That was about 8 months ago, and we still haven't.
I haven't put the flags up. I put up all the signs, I haven't put the flags up. It's my fault. You know, sometimes, you know, what do? You say you're dumb on a rock. But Nancy asked me about these flags, and the flags came. She asked me something one day about posts. I said I got all kinds of posts. Well, I was talking about grade stakes or something. She was talking about posts to hang the flags on. All right? I wasn't on the same page that she was talking to me on, okay? It was my fault. And I didn't go back and have her order these brackets because I just don't know why you put all these signs up. Why you gotta put flags up to advertise the signs? I mean, we're gonna get blinking lights.
So, I guess, you know, the past is the past. The next question is, how long would it take to get the flags up? And then we can talk to Deputy Sanborn and say, start enforcing it.
Well-
I guess I disagree, John. I mean, I thought we said enforce it. And if there's any state statute that says you cannot arrest somebody because they're driving too fast, because there's no flags to tell them they're driving too fast, then I will accept that rationale.
Yeah, I'm not saying he shouldn't enforce it, but I think more tightly enforced, shall we say. If you got a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit and someone's doing 45, he may have given them a couple of warnings. Now you get the flags up there, it does 45 again, 10 miles over. You're giving them a couple of warnings, now you hit them. But anyway, that's up to him as to how he does that. But I think what we got across is what we wanted, some action there.
There is no state statute that requires the flags be on the signs. I think what Deputy Sanborn's intent here is the fines start at $135 for the cheap ones, and they go up to over $300. And the speeds that they see on some of these roads, I think you're going to find are up in the $185, $300 range, $200 range. I know that he has been enforcing traffic up there. I've seen it. I'm on his Facebook page. I see that he's been up there and enforcing traffic, giving warnings and whatnot. I think what his intent is once those are clearly marked, the warnings are over. It's going to be, everybody's gonna get a ticket. And I think what he was trying to do was to give residents fair notice that here's a speed limit, maybe that'll get people to pay attention more, and then on top of that, the summonses.
Well, you know, this is a whole issue nationwide, Tammy. Let's give somebody the extra 2,000 miles that they can screw up. You know, and it's okay, do it over and over again. We're gonna tell you, don't do it. How about arresting somebody?
You can't arrest somebody for speeding unless they're doing criminal speed, which
Well,
is 30.
excuse me, how about giving them a ticket and a fine?
Yep.
You know, I get all of the pamphlets that come in for safety stuff for the town. In these pamphlets, I have not found these brackets. Now, somebody sells these brackets, but the pamphlets we get don't have them. What gets me about all of this is I wanted to have these speed check by radar signs made in high fluorescent colors. It's illegal. Can't do it. I mean, we're gonna put up orange flags. Why in the world don't we put up an orange sign? Wouldn't that work well? I mean, an orange sign, but we can't do it because it's not the right color. The other thing, you know, for years we've plowed a little piece of, Dennis, I know you've been aggravated with me, but anyway, we plowed that little piece of Lyman over there. We plow it year after year. 20 years ago, we made an agreement with Lyman that they would pay us to plow that. We do no exchanges with Lyman whatsoever. We plow a little end of Hamilton Road that we don't get paid for, and I don't get paid for it, but we plow it because we don't have a turnaround. They have a turn around, so we just come out and turn around. But that part on Deering's Ridge, they agreed to pay us. And I just think that they have said that if we, you know, get down to it, send them a bill or whatever, that they would pay us to do that. I really think we ought to do that. I think that
Well, used to do it years ago. I'm not sure when the last time we did it, but
it's been a long, long time, and there hasn't been any vote of the board for years to do that. So I would like to bring that up to the board.
and there's no piece of our road that they plow.
0. With Hollis, it's a different story completely. With Leamington plows a piece of Waterboro that we don't plow any of Leamington. All right, they plow that portion between the river and the town line by Isinglass on 117. Hollis plows a little piece of the Townhouse Road and a little piece of the White House Road. White House or Waterhouse? White House.
White
And we plow from the Lyman line down to Route 202. Kind of a wash. But with Lyman, it's a different story. So,
And even Hollis will plow up over that hill occasionally. I've seen them do that. I'm not sure why they do it, but you're right. From the top of the hill, which was the old Ames property, to where Danny Willett used to live, that's all Lyman.
that's Lyman. There's about 3/4 of a mile there. And we used to have an agreement to do it for $500, but I have not brought this to Nancy's attention. I brought it to the board's attention so that you would, you know. But this, we stopped doing that years and years ago, and I just think that maybe it ought to be brought up again. But that's up to the board if they want to do that.
So we got the end of Hamilton Road, and we've got the Daring Ridge piece. We ought to have at least a conversation with them about it.
As far as the end of Hamilton Road, we do it because if we don't do it, then they gotta come down Hamilton Road and turn around in the development. Which is, because David's house is, just beyond David's house is the line.
Right.
And we'd have to either drive up there and back out or do something. It's just easier for us to go through. Okay, but Deering's Ridge is,
Well, you're not gonna turn around on Daring Ridge either, right? So, it's a matter of just sitting, I think, and having that discussion. And Lord knows, those guys were all, I mean, that was back when Roger Bergeron was down there, and I don't know who else was on that board. Morris was road commissioner, I think, at the time. but-
No, when I started, I was road commissioner lineman. So that was in the early seventies, and for the 2 years I was road, 3 years I was road commissioner down there, we did that. And then it just kind of dropped by the wayside. All right? Anything else that you need me for?
That's it.
And you're gonna talk about CIPs?
Yep.
And I put the Hamilton Road Bridge on the CIP. And I put down, we had our CIPs, but that bridge, we have a letter from the state that says the bridge is in terrible shape. It has deteriorated some in the last year since we took the pictures of it. How we're gonna fund the fixing of it. I met with Sebago twice on it. I met last week. They were supposed to be here Monday. I hope to have a report for you tonight, but because of the storm, they didn't show up. They have a design, they have everything. It looks like right now, this Army Corps of Engineers says that we gotta have a sand bottom. We gotta make the structure 2 feet deeper than we need it, and put 2 feet of sand in the bottom so the fish don't scrape their belly. So, all right, for them to scrape the belly going up the rocks and up the lead, you can't scrape the belly on the bottom of the concrete. Plenty of fish. I didn't know fish would walk. But anyway, they're looking at 2 structures. And they're gonna have the prices on these. These are preformed structures. The road would have to be shut down, and that would be the only economical way to do it. They have gone up and looked it over again, walked underneath it, taken more pictures, and it is deteriorating at a fairly good clip. I posted the road, as you know, for weight limit, and so something's gonna have to be done if you decide to do it this year. Okay?
All right. Thanks. Okay, Selectmen's reports. Anything down that end?
No. I would like to publicly thank Sandy and Leo Bennett for their gift of hamburger, spaghetti sauce, salad, dressing, bread, a substantial amount that fed, I think, probably close to 60 people Friday night at our Christmas volunteer and staff dinner. I went over there and talked with Leo and was ready to compensate him for for the food that we were shopping for, and he said, "Thank you. The town does some nice things, and we wish to give this to you." So I thank Leo and Sandy and Lakeside Market for their very generous gift.
Absolutely. Anything else, John?
Nope.
Tammy, John?
Yep. Couple things going on. Over the past 10 days, your county budget committee has met 3 times, and we'll be meeting again tomorrow night. All of the department heads have presented the budgets, the commissioner's budget, everything is done, so now the deliberations are between the budget committee members, and then once we get that done, we'll be setting a public hearing. Our target date for a public hearing is January 9th. So tomorrow we'll review, we'll set the public hearing. A couple of things that happened at the meeting on Tuesday night. First, we talked about the user-based tax assessments, and the budget committee has voted not to support forming a committee to explore that, and that would be based on the fact that there would be a cost to create that committee, Southern Maine Regional Planning offered to collect the data. You're looking at a 2-year project. It's going to be costly, and it shouldn't be the responsibility of the municipalities to have to bear that expense when it's just a few communities that want the information. So that also, it would be a nightmare for county government to try and do a user-based every year. It would create a need for additional staff, additional time, so you're looking at more cost in preparing for taxes every year. Also, it would require state legislation, that changes in the law. So for all of those reasons, the Budget Committee voted to not support the formation of a committee to explore that. There were 3 members of the Budget Committee that voted opposed to that, and said that Saco, Kennebunk are still going to be looking at pushing for some kind of a study to be done to explore user base. They don't feel that it should be the responsibility of the COP towns to be paying for rural patrols. So the Budget Committee doesn't have necessarily any standing if the municipalities want to fund this project or participate in the project, but at least the committee took a stand that we don't support it. We were supposed to have a 12-town group meeting last night, and we were going to discuss that and get a vote from the 12-town group, but the weather canceled that meeting. The commissioners at a recent meeting took a vote that they will set all future caucuses for appointing budget committee members, and that they will be creating a policy. So the budget committee took a vote on that, saying that we will not recognize their caucuses. State statute says the caucus is called by municipal officials. I don't think that's the end of that. I think we're going to hear about that some more. Then last Tuesday evening, I attended the York County Advocacy Group meeting. Very glad I went. A lot of information, an excellent opportunity to talk to other community officials, and get some information about what's going to be happening with the delegation over this session. There are a couple of leftover bills that weren't resolved the last session, so they're going to be moving forward with that. Both John Tuttle and Aaron Libby were there, and Doug did go with me as well. So what they're looking at for this session is the communities all recognize that Maine has an issue with economic development. Again, Forbes magazine has listed Maine as the lowest business-friendly state in the country. So we talked about economic development. How can we bring economic development into the state of Maine while keeping the state at, you want Maine to be that kind of rural characteristic. So that's something that's going to be explored. At one point, there was a committee called Maine and Company, and it was a group of businesses that partnered up with the state of Maine. So they're going to look at seeing if they can reactivate that. There was $250,000 last year allotted to training machinists. One of the topics that get brought up is that there are businesses out there that have job opportunities, but Maine does not have the skills necessary to fill those positions. And one of the biggest holes right now is with machinists. Bath Iron Works, the shipyard, Pratt, they're all looking for machinists, but they don't have enough of them in the state of Maine. So there was money that was allotted last year to train machinists. Unfortunately, the monies were never expended. So they're going to be looking at pushing that again this session. It's an opportunity to put Maine people to work, and it's something that's going to benefit everybody in York County, because this is going to be York County residents that are going to be receiving this training and going into those positions. And some of these companies are willing to chip in and help get this done. So they have a need. The state has a need to provide jobs to people that are unemployed. We can give them the skills, so they're going to work on some education. The other thing that came up with economic development, and Sanford specifically brought this up, was unsubsidized housing and how it's impacting some of the service center communities, because it's dropping the value of the town, and they feel that businesses aren't looking at some of these communities because of the amount of unsubsidized housing that they have. So Sanford is kind of starting to look at putting a proposal forward that there would be a limit in each community to how much unsubsidized housing that there would be. Education, huge topic. Everybody at the table agreed the state has to meet their obligation of funding education at 55%. That is going to be a major topic in Augusta this session, and the York County delegates said that they're going to make that one of their top priorities. We talked about revenue sharing. Again, that was a major topic. When we kind of went around the table and you recognize how much money communities are losing because of the revenue sharing changes over the past years, it's incredible the amount of money that all of our communities are supposed to be getting that we're not. With the statute that was changed in 2009, there's a sunset clause on it that expires at the end of this year. So if there's no action taken, then at the end of this year, the funding goes back to what the state statute says. However, there is belief that the governor is going to propose some more changes to revenue sharing and potentially see additional cuts beyond what we've already seen. We talked about transportation, the roads and bridges. We talked about the road turnback. It was an excellent opportunity for Doug and I to speak about the problems that we've had with DOT, and there was a lot of support for moving forward with that bill. Other communities have had the same problem, and I think one of the best things about this advocacy group is when you're sitting there at this round table and all these community leaders are there and they're discussing this, it's putting a personal spin when these representatives and senators that are in other districts and not necessarily, Waterboro, they get to hear direct from the other communities on what's impacting us. So I think it gives them a better sense of what's happening in York County instead of just in the district that they're representing. And it's going to give them an opportunity to support some measures that they might not have necessarily supported before because they didn't understand it. So there was over 20 delegates there, so it was an excellent turnout. This is going to be a redistricting year, so I don't know how that's going to impact, if we're going to see any changes or not, but that's going to be on the table as well.
Is that something that we should be looking at seriously, the redistricting? And I don't think it's to our advantage to be with Sanford. Or benefit.
Yeah. I guess we need to pay attention to it and see where we're going to be. I believe, I don't recall who the local representative was that was appointed, but there was somebody, I think Shapley, a representative that is in the Shapley area was appointed to the committee for redistricting. I'm not positive. I'll look. I had it somewhere.
Years ago, there was also a citizens committee that was involved in it. And I know John Monteith was a member of that and used to travel up there, but that's probably 30 years ago now, or 20 years ago anyway.
Well, I mean, would we be better off in towns more our likeness than, say, Sanford or Biddeford, I would think. I mean, why can't they, obviously they're doing it for political reasons in Augusta, but I would think we'd be better off with...
They don't do it for political reasons. It's
they
all,
don't?
It's all head
speak
count.
of the devil.
Oh, just head.
I was talking about the advocacy group meeting the other night. So it's a redistricting year. The delegates are going to be getting together in early January, and then we're going to have another advocacy group meeting in February. John Sylvester made the point that when we have the advocacy group meetings, it would be best to have them on Saturdays, because especially the small towns, most of your selectmen are folks that are working full-time and can't get to Augusta at noontime, or they can't get to a 2 o'clock meeting elsewhere. So meeting on Saturday was going to allow for better representation of all the communities. So it was a point well taken, and it was agreed that the next meeting of the group would be on a Saturday. And county commissioners offered to let it be held at the York County, the new government center. So when I've got the date for that for certain, I'll let everybody know. But very good meeting. It was very well attended, and I think it's something that we need to make sure that we're keeping involved in, because there's a lot of information that came out of that meeting.
John?
I think this is, I mean, my comment here is now to you, Tammy, but since our representative came in, I'd be interested in his comments too. The things that you were talking about, funding education at 55%, which the state had supposedly taken responsibility for and didn't follow through on. The roads, not giving roads back to the towns. Funding college, the first couple of years of college education for, in order to build up jobs. That all is going to increase taxation. There's no way. I mean, there's a huge amount of money going to be needed to deal with these areas. So, how's the money going to be raised? And I know that our representative is pretty conservative in not raising taxes, but on these issues of which comes back to the towns, if we shift it back to the state, you're talking about a tax base. You're talking about taxes, probably income taxes going up, or sales taxes, some way to fund it.
Well, a novel idea would be for the state to actually cut some spending in other areas. I mean, you look at what's happening with DHHS and the millions and millions and millions of dollars in errors that they found, and still we have the same person that's at the helm leading that group, and we still continue to have computer programs and this program failure and that program failure. I think that the state needs to really take a look at where they're spending their money, because I don't necessarily agree that the state is best utilizing their resources.
Well, again, I mean, you have the mental health people, and you have the these are some of the areas that have been cut back. And
but part of the dilemma, John, and it's not money so much as it was a change in direction, right? Back 35 years ago, when it was Southern Maine Technical College, not Southern Maine Community College, right, in South Portland, there was a tremendous amount of effort, and there was a lot of collaboration between private industry and that technical institute to train tradesmen, machinists, and et cetera, right? And there were, in fact, they actually physically set up schools inside of Pratt in '79 when it opened, right? Then there was a change in philosophy that, we want to make everybody, everybody's got to have a Bachelor of Science degree in business administration or something. I'm not quite sure where the philosophy changed, but we don't have technical colleges anymore in the state. We have community colleges, okay? And the direction has changed. So we're not training tradespeople anymore. Okay?
Those community colleges that's the platform right now that you can bring in the technology.
I understand, but it was technology before,
Yep.
all right? And we diverted it. We changed
Because it
the
wasn't
direction,
being used.
right? So now all of a sudden, here we are 30 years later, saying we'd love to bring light manufacturing into this state. We just don't have anybody to do the work.
Well, I mean, the thing is the flexibility to go with the times. At the time that they
I don't
cut
think the
back on
times ever changed.
now the
I
time
think
has
the
come that
philosophy
we
changed.
need the technical aspect. But anyway, the 55% support from the state of education brings some big money.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
Why don't you they can take their revenue sharing and put it into that bucket. I'd much rather see the 55% than I would the revenue sharing. All $380,000. But if they funded RSU 55%, we'd see a heck of a lot bigger benefit than that. So what are the magic actions there, Aaron?
Always step to the podium, I guess. The way I look at it, first and foremost, is that whether you put the label of state or county or town or federal, the bottom line comes in the back pocket of the ones that earned it. Doesn't matter what label you put it on. The matter is it's being spent. And if you spend it at the state level, or if you spend it at the town level, it still has to come out of that pot, period. You know, that's the bottom line. It's not a magical pot in the states and a magical pot in the federal government. Oh, they do it printing press, but that means that whole other subject. You know, the bottom line is still, and even that comes out of the back pockets because when you print money and inflation. So, you know, you have to look at it overall, is that you can't just keep getting more spending across the board. You know, cuts have to be made. You know, you're alluding to, huge problems is, still a drastic amount of people that are getting services that are very able-bodied and should be working, but the system is just that way and it's easier and you get on it and it's not good for them, it's not good for society, and, that's gotta get changed, and it will get changed eventually, one way or the other, either voluntarily or not, but,
I have to say one of the most frustrating things for me in my position is, I'm in court when people are coming in and they're being sentenced for crimes, and the judge will say, can you pay your fine today? And it's, oh no, I get my disability check next week. Or, and it's like, wait a minute. So my money is paying for this crime that you've committed. You're paying for, it's like those kinds of problems at a state level those kinds of funds shouldn't be used for that.
I mean, are there any guidelines, Aaron, on what this money can be used for? Disability checks, food stamps, or whatever?
We all see it, the other day at Walmart or Hanford, groceries, and you see, two separate lines, from one cart, and you see beers, cigarettes, and other things, and then you see the other food, so, to me, I think that's the problem, there's no doubt about that. There's accounts where they had EBT transactions in California for multiple months on end. To me, that's
well, I mean, is this a discussion in Augusta? I mean, is this something that concerns legislators? Or
definitely. I mean, you had it in the last 2 years. I think there's definitely a lot of talk with that. But the bottom line is, anytime you say about any kind of reduction, sometimes even if you just don't talk about an increase, that's considered a reduction. And it's, don't cut me. Cut the other programs. And then you have a very focused group will show up at at the hearings. And it's all good intentions. So you can always get 100 people to come together and give great reasons why that should be there and what good it's doing. But at the end of the day, I mean, when those hundreds and thousands of all programs all have that, eventually you're getting tapped for funds. But I think the discussion is going to have to be there more so every year. I don't see this getting any easier. Day in, day out from here, we see the debt rising, so I don't see how this is gonna get an easier fight. Just gotta get a look at everything and have get the information in hand, and it's gonna be tough decisions, and try to make the best decisions that you can with the information from you.
Are you involved at all with redistricting? I mean, do you sit down with committees, or how's that work?
I'm not on, there's actually committees set, Representative Wayne Perry sits on that, and I've been talking to a few different people in it. I'm unofficially involved. It's obviously, I think most reps, most people are, want to know where it's going to be and stuff like that, and obviously, when you live in the area, have an idea, different towns mesh with it, it just seems better here and there, so obviously I'm putting my 2 cents in for what it's worth.
And where is he from?
Wayne Perry lives over in Arundel, and he serves, for instance, the lineman, he serves the other half of the lineman with me. So he's got, good southern Maine section,
The House has never really been too much of a concern. It's always been the Senate district that is absolutely crazy.
I think, Senate-wise, I mean, to me, Sanford and this district, are kind of a little bit separate, so to speak.
Well, years ago, it used to be a little bit was a Standish, when Henry Black was,
Baldwin.
so it was Baldwin. It was really kind of pulled us that way, more rural than it did with, headed to the.
Well, you say head count, that's what it's all about, I mean, so you have to put 16 towns together to get a Senate seat. If they're rural, they have a common interest,
Well, for some reason, that all got smashed up there 20 years ago. Because I think that was, who was the gal that was the senator from up there too? She,
Do you know who the senator is from our area?
Well, it's, John Tuttle.
Yeah, it would be John.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the current senator.
Anyway,
Her brother was.
Kind of odd. I always thought the district kind of odd to go from Sanford to Leamington. But not Limerick and that side, so it's just kind of odd. Senate district from, all the way from South Sanford all the way to Leamington. It's kind of a wide range of slightly. But I mean, the numbers have to, bottom line, the numbers have to equal out, plus minus. It's going to go about 35,000 right now for a Senate seat. It may get pushed up to like 36, 38,000. Current House seats are 8,500. I think they're going to get pushed up to around 8,800. We put Waterboro, of course, at that, at 7,700. You're not quite big enough for an actual its own seat, so I don't know what's going to happen with that and moving forward. So I know the lines of the House district that I serve for 139, of course, all Waterboro and then half of Lyman, is somewhere around 9,000 to 10,000 people at the given.
so
amount.
presumably that's
It's gonna shrink.
That's going to shrink.
It has to, yeah.
It's one way or the other.
Yeah, because the influx obviously in southern Maine, you're gonna have a lot of more northern seats, enlarging, and especially in this area, same with the Alfred seat, very much so. It's 9 to 10, whatever the exact numbers are, but over the 8,500. So it will, size-wise, it will get most likely get smaller.
So I guess to follow on with David's question, is this going to be, I know there's a committee, and I think I remember now seeing that Representative Perry was assigned, it was in the paper or something, but is there anyone outside of the legislative body that is going to be involved? Any citizens, any, are there any on that committee that ultimately, I mean, my guess is given the makeup now in the House and Senate, it will be, it'll be driven down to their preference, but I guess the question is years ago there always was citizen members of that committee, right? That were appointed by the governor.
It's more than just current legislators, and not 100% up on it, but there are both the House and the Senate they're both committees. Senate has a committee, and the House has their committee, and it's more than just the list I saw of people is more than just current legislators. They're taking board, and then of course, once that comes out, then it'll obviously get debated on the floor of the House and Senate, get voted on, and I've been, from what I've historically, goes to courts a lot too, so it can, and then now you talk about it into the court system, so it could.
Just depends on how much the controlling party wants to jam it down the other party's throat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, at some point,
Whether it
the
goes
numbers have to add up,
Yeah.
and if you take so much on one side, you're gonna kind of shoot, I mean, you just really can't mess it up.
No,
too
but
much,
the
I don't
mix,
think,
the mix has a big put on what the outcome is, or could be. So,
We'll have to wait. It'll definitely be interesting
Yep.
to see. Numbers change though, so that's gonna be interesting. They flop the numbers, so we will lower the numbers down here for the House and put the higher the Senate and vice versa. So.
Do you have any different committee assignments than you had last
Still
year?
do not know what the committee assignment is.
Yeah, you're not there yet.
I've requested for energy. I wanted to stay on energy. I think it's very important for the people in industry alike and agriculture. So I'm trying to get on that. It's been put through from the minority office, the seating on the committees, and it's in the speaker's hands at the moment. And we haven't heard as of last I checked my email, I hadn't heard yet. I assume maybe just before Christmas or after maybe, but things are a little bit transition and stuff, so I don't know yet. I'll let you guys know as soon as
Good.
I get that.
Anybody else have anything they want to throw at them?
Happy holidays.
We appreciate you coming in.
Not a problem. It's I don't have much news anyways. It's light. We have really, except for getting the constitutional officers and leadership, it's been slow. We don't go back to the 8th, so hasn't been. I'm waiting for committee assignments. So Other than that, you guys have a great Christmas, happy holidays, safe, happy New Year, and I'll see you next year.
Thanks.
All right, Colin, thanks.
Thanks, Erica.
All right, let's move on to Nancy. Anything from town administrator, town of, yeah.
Couple of things, most of it has been the budget. The budget has been inputted into Trio, the expense and the revenues and the, worksheet that the selectmen use at their meetings, that's been revised to reflect the changes. I think I've told Christina that I will give her the stuff so she can start photocopying and start getting something
And
ready for the notebooks.
Last week's packet had that calendar in it, right?
Yeah, and I think it was gonna be to the selectmen between January 7th and 11th, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And it will be,
Okay.
it will hit that time frame. Last week, when I was looking at the selectmen's meetings, last week's selectmen's meeting, it was discussed with the social services, on some information. And, the information on what services they provide and how many residents has always been in their requests. The only one I have not heard from is the food rescue. That's the only one I have not heard from.
That we've given to before.
Mm-hmm.
They are, from what I understand, having some internal problems. So,
You know, what I was interested in seeing with that was their list of expenditures.
Yeah, a lot of them do, most of them do that. They'll send their annual report. Well, we just got one last week, I think. Benefit, free clinic,
Free
wasn't it? Yes.
Anything else, Nancy?
That's it. Budget's taken up a lot of time, but making headway.
Tom's on the mend?
Tom is on the mend. I talked to him today. He goes back to the doctor on the 28th, and he's got his fingers crossed it's going to be his last x-ray, and that he'll be able to start putting weight on his leg. It seems to be healing okay. He is on his 4th round of prednisone. And his cardiologist is sending him to a pulmonary doctor to run some tests because they think it might be a combination of the pneumonia, allergies, and the virus. So,
And, Paul?
I have last I heard from Paul, he went home. He signed out of the hospital.
On his own?
On his own.
Okay.
just a comment about the budget worksheet. As we get working, if we all had a electronic worksheet that, as we're figuring out the budget, as we putting things in, taking stuff out and stuff. Now, I know you don't want us all, 4 or 5 of us sitting on a computer, changing the master budget, but on the same hand, when some of us are scratching out figures on a piece of paper and some aren't, if you all have that electronic spreadsheet in there, when we put a number in, you could put it in, it would add up.
We have that anyways.
So
I have it in Excel, so I'll just have David.
So we
put it
can
up.
plug into that, and, okay, good.
You know, maybe the other thing we could do is hook the computer up
Put it up here.
on the projector so that we can put it up there, and that way we can all see it as we go along.
And make sure everybody has the same figures.
Yep.
Okay.
Which has always been a challenge.
Yes.
We can't make them up as we go along.
Anything else? on
Now you can't
reports?
add an extra zero either.
Let's get on with new business, which isn't a lot. Discuss scheduling a special meeting prior to next regular meeting. Our next regular meeting will be the 8th. Christina and I did talk a little bit before the meeting night. I'm not sure that there is any pressing issue, other than that first week of the new year. We'll need to get in here and sign some things. We tentatively are looking at that date on that Thursday night, right, to have a workshop with the we're gonna invite the Charter Commission and, members, not the commission, but the members and road commissioner and whomever else that has an interest in, how we're gonna go forward with, the revisions in the charter.
What's that, on the 3rd?
That would have been, I think it was the 3rd. And then the 17th, just to keep everybody in the loop, the invitation and the kind of the forum workshop on EDC that we talked about last week, inviting in the WAB members, planning board members, 2020 members, and et cetera. So we'd set those 2 Thursday night meetings up. So if there's something that comes up, I think we have enough time to, I guess we could tentatively post that we would do whatever business on that 3rd before a workshop, if we had to, right? Just so that we could get the posting. But there might be nothing that we have to deal with, other than we will have to sign a warrant for payroll, right? For the Christmas week payroll. Yeah. Unless somebody wants to think that we need to have a regular meeting that week. If not, we'll take the break.
Oh, actually, I think with the payroll, we need one
Just
selectman
one,
can sign it.
That can be done. The payroll, we need to have, take an action, we need to have 3 people in here
No,
to,
one.
One, it's the APs.
okay, just need to
Yeah,
sign.
the invoices, you have to have
And the
3.
APs, I think she's got everything that,
Mhm.
everything that's done is done now, right? Okay. All right. And we said discuss vote to schedule a joint public hearing on Tuesday, the 8th, at 6 PM with the planning board and the board to consider changes to the growth management ordinance. This would be a joint meeting in lieu of separate meetings. The only risk that we run is if there is input, the planning board will have to go back, right? In other words, I don't think we can do that simultaneously. So if there are changes to the wording, then they're gonna have to go back and do their thing, and we'll have to do it all over again. But so the joint meeting's a good idea as long as everything goes well. Well being, there's not any requested changes. Right? So as long as everybody's okay with that, we'll plug that into the January 8th meeting. With the snow date being the 15th, I guess, given the month coming, we probably ought to, as a matter of course, schedule backup dates.
Do you have to vote on that?
Pardon?
You don't have to vote on that.
No, I think we're all set.
Okay.
I mean, we can take a vote if somebody wants to move to have that joint public hearing. I'd entertain the motion.
So moved.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so you're all set there, Christine.
Thank you.
Old business, what we really wanted to bring back was just the discussion level of the CIP. We had just gotten them the other night. I think everybody's got or should have, the summary page. And I guess, not that we're gonna certainly do anything with the CIP tonight, but I think more from an understanding perspective. So are there any comments or questions that arise as we go forward here with what's on this? The municipal facilities planning, there's the just shy of $30,000 for pay 6 priority areas, town hall parking lots, walks, new road into parking lot, community center in parking lot, etc. So, and again, not that we need to make any decisions tonight, but are there any questions with regard to that? We get into information technology. Oh, I'm sorry. Parks and, I get that, right? What did I do? Flip too fast, yeah. Municipal building, change town hall, transfer station, library to LED lighting, there's a proposal that I would guess has a business case, right? So there are savings associated with doing LEDs.
And I think with that one,
You can get from the efficiency meeting.
efficiency mean there's some grants available.
So we ought to put that into the
The Strong
funding
Thomas.
mechanism, right, over into the right-hand column, that it should be not only taxation, but potential grant funding or efficiency main funding or something. Parks and Rec, place the grandstand at Friendship Park. So I think if, unless somebody's got any questions there, I think what Mike's proposed is the material and the actual work would be done by volunteer labor, but I'm not sure where that would come from. So we need to look at where the dollars are coming from. Is it taxation, or is it Parks and Rec fees, or whatever? Information technology, still talking about the messaging center out here. Nothing else, David?
Not at this time.
All right. Boy, getting off. Highway and Public Works, I think they've laid this out. Didn't we raise money this year for Deering Ridge Road?
I'd have to go back and look.
I thought that was part of the package this year.
I don't remember what was in the seed.
So, I mean, Doug talked a little bit about Hamilton Road Bridge. Certainly the ditching program, we've been running it right along. And then in the outer years, which would be nice to see some of the outer years, only because I think even though we've had a tendency to keep pushing, at least it would be nice for the department heads to recognize that, hey, we do have multiple years ahead of us that we need to start talking about, at least 3, in my opinion. Fire department would be, he's got nothing in year 2 and 3 or 4, but he's got the utility forestry truck that we talked a little bit about the other night, the UTV and trailer, central station space. I'm not quite sure that was the additional living space, right, that they proposed last year, or at least started to talk about. I'm not going to Holmatro
Extrication tool.
Anyway, that at 15 grand. South Station roof, and so the department total there. Transfer station, Clint's back with the backhoe issue, which it really hasn't gone away. Compactor project, which I think is closing that and improving that arrangement. 2-bay garage type building is in the out years. A roll-off truck is way out in the 3 or 4 years out. I thought he had 2 more containers though.
He has them in his regular budget.
Oh, okay, all right. So that would be what's been presented, and I think we just need to digest and take one of those budget sessions that we have and talk capital issues, and of course we'll have to move some of it into the warrant as we approve, whatever.
Yeah, and I think, as I spoke before, I think we need to look at the audit. We've got $25,000 sitting in the station, that we should do something with that. It's in a dedicated account, so we'll have to do it at town meeting, but, you know, apply it to the capital account. Excuse me, we've got 2 or 3 of them out there that's
Right.
just got some funds in there we need to close out.
So is there anything else any questions or comments at this point with the capital plan, or if not, we'll move on here. Warrants and bills for payroll.
Were we supposed to talk about foreclosures tonight?
Oh, she's waving it at me. we have to put this on the agenda. And I think, what is she looking for, that we approve her moving forward with
If
the,
there's any that you do not want her to foreclose on.
so everybody has the list. I guess if nobody has any desire to not foreclose on something, we don't need a motion. If you do, then we should add it to the agenda. I don't think that we need to say, yeah, go do the foreclosures, right? She does that by law. So it's only something that we would prevent.
Do you want me to go grab her if she's still here?
If she's still here,
I would make a motion that we add, discuss and vote if necessary, foreclosure.
okay? Is there a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor of adding this to the agenda? Okay, so,
The only one that I would question if that's one of them is this one. Because I think that's property been sold.
if it's been sold, I'm not sure we can, well,
I'm not sure if it has or not.
what happens if a property is sold and we don't know about it and we move to do the foreclosure?
They just
You leave?
She must have, it's all dark in there,
Okay.
so the door's
From-
locked.
Right, we
Maybe it
just
has
added
neither.
it to the agenda, Christina, for your notes, Amy
that-
Jo moved and, David seconded to add it to the agenda, so we've done that. And I guess now it's a matter of whether we add or make a recommendation not to,
And most of, before, it's like anything that the town does not want to become.
yeah, and I'm not sure that there is anything
No,
there.
I
is
looked
there?
down through it and I didn't see anything.
I mean, years ago, if there was a contaminated property,
Mhm.
we stayed away from it, right?
Mm-hmm. And I don't see anything on this list.
Who manages this?
You wanna vote?
Yeah, so. So he manages that
Mhm.
trust, or that
Mhm.
heirs. And this one is, I understand, is no longer a resident?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. Anything sticking out there, folks?
Nope. This one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah? That's what I said the other night. Okay. I guess we, is there any motion to be made to prevent any of these from going? If not, then we'll just move on. So, the treasurer will have to, go forward with those mature lien foreclosures, or lien transfers, I should say. All right. Moving to warrants and bills for payroll. I don't know as I did get a motion. I think we have, Christina was waving, waving the flag over there. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for warrants and bills for payroll. All those in favor? Opposed? Minutes of the December 11th meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? That would be 301. Pending decisions, PCAs, driveway opening permits, board and committee status. The EDC forum, we said the tentative 117, and charter changes, we'll do a forum or a workshop or whatever you want to call it on 1/3. Okay, week's action list, I think we're set. Discussion of agenda items for the 8th of January.
I get that coming in. Well, the executive
Yeah,
session.
we're gonna have an executive session that night. All right, items needing signatures and payroll, warrants and bills, items needing signatures, warrants and bills and payroll, minutes of December 11th. Reminders, planning board meeting of tomorrow evening has been canceled. However, the cribbage tournament for Saturday morning at 8:30 has not been canceled, so that'll go off. Just a reminder, everybody, that December 25th, town offices will be closed. And January 1st, New Year's, town offices will be closed. So if you have town business, you'll have to come in on the 2nd at 9 a.m. Or the 26th of December. So they'll be closed both Monday and Tuesday of next week and the week after. Anything else? Okay, we got the reminders right, and we're gonna move into an executive session, so, before we adjourn, so, David, I guess I would entertain a motion to go into an executive session 5 minutes from now.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?